Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, a look back at 2024. Happy New Year. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt. Happy New Year. On behalf of all of us here at the V, I want to thank you for letting us come into your home week after week to share the important stories that affect Alabama. You know, they say that politics is an opportunity to do good. It's also an opportunity to do better. So today we want to take a look back at some of the top stories of 2024 to see where we did good and to see where we can do better. Let's take a look. Biggest news of the year is Saban retiring.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. That's it.
We're done.
Yeah, we should just do the whole show on Saban retiring.
That's it.
A lot of people did yesterday on the local newscast, like 2 hours worth.
I mean, Susan, we haven't seen this since Bear Bryant retired.
No, we haven't.
It's so curious, these kids that come from impoverished backgrounds that can run a 4.440, somehow or another, we find the resources to make sure that they can become not only great students, but productive citizens in life and educate them and bring them out of poverty. And it's amazing how that happens when you put the resources and the people in those kids' lives, what happens.
All right, well, here's cheers to Coach Saban. Racism still affects how we all live in the United States of America. And it's because of the original sin of slavery. Mm-hmm. And we have not resolved the many issues that have arisen from slavery, even though it's supposed to be over. And it is over. Mm-hmm. But the wounds of history still live with us. And Ed Oliver wants to whitewash those wounds and in the process make them work. House of Representative, state guy, Ed Oliver, he wants to. That'll look like it.
Well, maybe in younger years.
But he wants to pass a law that says you can't teach divisive concepts in schools. And what he means by that is Black history, basically, Josh. We have heard this song so many times that we know the tune. That there's a push to get gaming legislation through the legislature to allow the people to vote. It's not about their passing gaming. They're not doing it. This is about letting the people vote on gaming. The state has spent billions creating fewer jobs over the years, and that state is not having to do anything but let the people vote. And these people aren't, the people that will build these casinos, like the Porch Creek, the Victory Land folks, those people, they're not going to ask the state for a dime.
No.
Because they're going to do it with their own money.
They don't need to.
And then they're going to give you $1 billion every year, basically.
Yeah.
For the privilege.
But now we're going to be number one in the world for being the first people on the planet to execute someone with nitrogen. We're going to do that on the 25th of this month. Unless somebody stands up and says, as Josh would say, what are you doing? You know?
It's called nitrogen
hypoxia.
Yeah. Which basically what they're doing is they're filling the mask full of nitrogen and not oxygen. So you're essentially smothering them to death, which I can't imagine would be something that's very comfortable.
This past week, I wrote about it because, and some major areas, major talking heads in Republican politics projected that former President Donald Trump would be wise to select Katie Britt as his VP. And boy, it just lit up the internet with people going, yes, she would be great.
And she would be. Katie ticks all the boxes. She's strong. She's new. She's young. She, is a go-getter. So she would tick all those boxes. And I do think her one drawback with him is going to be she's a strong woman, and he is not keen on that.
It just so happens that Alpha has come out and said that they are against all forms of gaming.
Mm-hmm.
They're absolutely even now targeting lawmakers, Josh, as you've documented, that their most recent retreat for their top insurance salespeople was in Vegas, in Sin City itself,
Right.
where the only reason to go to Vegas is to gamble for the most part. There's other things.
Another thing.
This past week marked the 15th anniversary of the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act. It was enacted in 2009. Lilly Ledbetter, a icon in my mind of Alabama great women. Susan, Governor Ivey gave her State of the State this week or this past week, and it wasn't a barn burner, but she brought up a lot of great points that would improve the state of Alabama. Even Josh agreed with that before he turned around and said, and then she took it all away.
She did. Yeah.
But I think, and she does generally set an agenda that is followed by the legislature.
She does.
And I think some of the key points that she made on education and giving teachers raises. I mean, she wants the teachers of Alabama to be the best paid teachers in the Southeast. That's a big goal. The House of Representatives, Susan, passed a historic gaming bill that will fundamentally improve the lives of Alabama and shut down illegal gaming once and for all. I mean, what do you think, Susan?
I think it's great. I mean, it's not only that it's historic in what it's doing, it's historic in the fact that, the House passed it once before, back in 2016, but it was originated in the Senate. And when it got to the House, they stripped it to nothing but a lottery.
Right.
But this time, the full package originated in and was passed by the House.
Josh, nobody knows more about the gaming business than you do, as far as a reporter. What's your takeaway, and what does it do?
Listen, I think it's kind of a monumental. It was really surreal after watching the attempts over the course of the last 20 years.
Yeah. The Alabama Supreme Court has now ruled that a frozen embryo is a person, is a living human being. This was after a court case involving a couple whose frozen embryos were destroyed at a Mobile clinic.
But what they've done is they've stopped all IVF because of that. They're actually preventing life from taking place because now these IVF clinics, they can't actually do anything. They don't know where to go legally. They don't know what to do. So they've stopped everything. So people that have invested, and this is the ignorance of the Alabama Supreme Court. They didn't think this through.
Legislature wants to define what is a woman.
That's the name of the bill.
I mean, Josh, this is really just aimed at transgender women. That's all that is. They want to disenfranchise them and make them feel little and small as they have been all their lives.
Well, as I've said before, it's pretty easy to identify the women in most Alabama counties, including the county where Susan DuBose, who's the sponsor of this bill, is from. Well, because all you have to do is look for the lady on the side of the road giving birth because she can't make it to a pregnancy center because they've all closed. Because the people that were supposed to represent them in those counties are spending time on stupid shit. Okay?
A bad week for education in Alabama. The Choice Act. Choose Act.
They keep renaming it.
Choose Act.
We're choosing to be stupid about what it does. But
Yeah. I mean, the Choose Act that will put $100 million towards helping
for now,
helping wealthy families
Yeah.
to ensure that their kids go to private schools, while poor children in poor schools will suffer because we are looking out for the wealthiest among us. That's the thing about looking back. There's always a lot of detours on that road in the past. We'll be right back. You're watching The V.
Your home is your most valuable asset. But what if someone tried to steal it from you? Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
As a district attorney, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of property fraud. That's why I'm proud to support the Montgomery County Probate Court's REACT program.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
So don't wait. Sign up for REACT today and protect your home.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
Welcome back to The V, the voice of Alabama politics. As we look back at 2024, we're going to see some ups, some downs, some twists, some turns, opportunities, and controversies. But that's kind of what politics is. You know, politics is the art of the possible, and we can learn a lot from the past. So let's look back once again at 2024. Steve Marshall, our esteemed Attorney General, came out this week. He spoke at a meeting last week at a meeting of Republican women and said that he was against school lunches because the Department of Agriculture had changed it. So when referring to people in written form, you didn't refer to them by sex, but by gender. And so basically he's now saying he's really against Alabama getting money for free school lunches, Susan, because they're not using the word sex, they're using the word gender.
Is this what we pay him for? I don't think so. He's the Attorney General, not the hall monitor.
Yeah.
Okay? Go do your job. Stop meddling all this stuff just trying to get points.
Well, Steve Marshall does not want any children of any gender or sex to have a free lunch in Alabama because the federal government's bad. You know, Susan, there are some things that I just find hilarious and troubling all at the same time because you can't hold two ideas in your mind at one time if you're a thinking individual. But
you're talking about the legislature
Yeah,
here.
well,
Let's don't get too carried away.
so there's a big glass, as you know, there's a big glass window, bigger than that separates the House floor from the press corps. And so if a lawmaker that's near that glass, you can pretty much see everything they're doing.
You can see everything they're doing.
So at a House of Representative member who shall, for the moment, go unnamed,
but we do know who they are.
yeah, but was caught by the press corps on a sugar baby site. Well, we are getting towards the end of the end. You know, there's
Thank
just a
God.
few days left, and you know,
Thank God.
you know, people will be able to look back on the carnage that was. You know, this past week, this session has been a lot about sex. They are very concerned about sex. And I was mentioning to somebody the other day that there's a lot of these people that really get so concerned about sex, either look like they've never had any or like they're, you know, just some weird.
They've got some kids
just-
in the basement or something. Yeah.
The Alabama House of Representatives passed a comprehensive gaming bill that was the strongest, the best bill any of us have seen in a generation. A bill similar to the one that the Senate voted on and passed 2 years.
Mhm.
When that bill hit the Senate, it went through the meat grinder, and what came out on the other side was chicken feed. Almost yearly, we have seen gambling legislation come right up to the edge of passing, only to see it be jerked away like Lucy with the football would do to Charlie Brown. I have to say, without a shadow of a doubt, that the prosecution of Jonathan Barbie by the Alabama Ethics Commission, by the Alabama Attorney General's Office, and by the Alabama Department of Revenue was the most egregious breach of judicial restraint it was categorically an overreach and malicious and vindictive towards Jonathan, but not over at the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission, because recently the Alabama Court of Appeals ruled against AMCC over several rulings they had before them, and sent it back down to the circuit court to Judge James Anderson. The three of us have covered politics for a long time, and when you are doing everything you can to go against a judge to keep depositions from happening, you got to have some pretty big secrets you want to keep hidden.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've taken a look at this process from the start, and it's never made sense.
No.
It's never made sense what's gone on, and you know, I think what probably happened at the beginning of this thing was some we'll call them mistakes. Some mistakes were made.
People are for overall legalizing marijuana. We have some 35 states that have some form of legalized marijuana, whether it's medical or recreational. And so I think we need to have a different conversation. You know, I'm going to do something I very rarely do, and I did it this last one. But my brother died at 29 years old of a drug overdose. He was beloved to me and his mother and father, but he died at 29 of drug overdose. Now, I've heard people say all my life that marijuana was the gateway drug. Let me tell you, it was the liquor cabinet that was the gateway drug. It was the beer that was the gateway drug. And I know from personal experience in my own family that drugs can kill. I know that alcohol is equally as bad, if not worse. I have never seen anyone necessarily beat their wife or their spouse on marijuana. But what I do know is that when Kay Ivey decides she wants something done, by golly, it's gonna get done, because you don't cross Kay Ivey. And this is becoming such an embarrassment. I mean, heck, we could have legalized marijuana throughout the entire country before Alabama ever gets to medical marijuana.
I would bet that's going to be the case if it continues like this. But somebody's got to take responsibility
That's right.
for this. Somebody's got to put their foot down and say, enough foolishness. People are suffering. Let's get something done.
I think some of them are worried they might go to jail behind
I'm
this
quite
thing.
sure of that.
The Alabama chapter of the Neo-Nazis for Christ. No, I'm just joking. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Have released their agenda, and it's all about LGBTQ. It's all about banning books. It's all about, they claim to be conservative values. Now, I'm old enough to remember when the Republican Party was the party of liberty, in the sense that they wanted the government not in your business or in your bedroom.
HB4, which is led by Arnold Mooney, and they're going to redefine harmful to children and try, with the books in libraries, and try to, put it on the teachers and put it on the librarians, essentially, to put them in jail. That's not the only one. There's also another one coming from Matt Butler and Representative Susan DuBose to aim to ban LGBT instruction in schools and any redefines sex education. So, I mean, we've got serious problems in this state, and you guys are squirreling around with this? Really?
I want to take a minute to congratulate President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance on their historic win. May God bless America, and you have great success in your administration. Now on to Alabama politics. There was a historic win here in Alabama where Shamari Figures won the congressional seat in District 2. Susan, it was historic. There are now 2 Black representatives in Congress from Alabama.
Yes, and Shamari is a unique figure in that he comes from good stock. His father, Michael, and his mother, Vivian, who's a friend of mine, are some of the most hardworking people in Alabama politics that I've ever seen.
In Chicago, in Illinois, the Porch Creek Band of Indians have built a luxurious high-end casino in Chicago that is the envy of the Midwest. My old grandpappy used to say, you know, you can take a dime off the devil's soul and spend it on good works. I mean, you know, so why wouldn't we take this money from the Porch Creek and the other gaming interests and invest it in Alabama like they're doing in Illinois?
Well, you know, and I wrote a column about this, and you know, and I think that you know, we tend to undervalue what we have here in this state in a lot of cases, and this is one of them. You know, the people, you know, treated the Porch Creeks as though they're just some backwoods group that you know, aren't doing anything. I mean, this is their ninth property worldwide. You know, I mean, they manage casinos for a number of large entities that you've heard of. You know, they partner with casino gaming companies that you've heard of, as does Lewis Benefield and the McGregor family that operate Victoryland and the Birmingham Racecourse. They do the same thing. But
Governor Kay Ivey appointed President Pro Tem Greg Reed as her senior advisor for workforce transformation. And that's going to be a new department eventually where they're combining the Department of Labor with workforce development. And it's going to be a bigger department that handles the general flow of what a Department of Labor does, but also with an emphasis on workforce development. Senator Garland Gudger was elected to be President Pro Tem this past week, and he is promising a more inclusive and a more unified effort within the body. You know, Mr. Gudger has 12 years experience on the city council and leading the council in Coleman. He also has he's in his second term in the Senate. This may be the leadership change that's needed to help Alabama move forward, Susan. The past may be hindsight, but it can also give us foresight. You're watching The voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
My personal biggest pet peeve is kids who are not properly restrained, whether that be in a booster seat, a car seat, or even a simple seatbelt. Kids, they become projectiles, and it's terrifying.
It absolutely breaks my heart to know that something so innocent could be punished so severely.
Your children rely on you to be that person that says, no, you need to put your seatbelt on.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. You know, politics in Alabama is almost like a blood sport. It's certainly competitive as our football teams. It can be rough, it can be downright mean, but it also can be hilarious. So we want to take a look now at some of the funnier things, maybe absurd things, but stuff we kind of laughed at, and we hope you'll laugh at it too. Let's take a look back at some funny stuff. The legislature wants to decide who is a woman. Glide on, sister. Glide on. Tuberville and Marshall hit the road with a new show.
Sure wish I had a drink. Junior, it worked. Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle.
Just one stooge short of a threesome. Josh, just when we thought the fat lady had sung, or the calorically challenged woman had sung,
Hi, it's just you and me today.
yeah, it reminds me of that old song, Just the Two of Us.
Just the two.
We can make it if we try.
Yes.
All right, we're going to try it. How about
We're going to
that?
give it
All
a
right.
shot. How about
You know, one of the idiots over the
Part of it.
legislature, and I won't name them because there's quite a few, but this particular one said, oh, we can't pass gaming because look what a mess cannabis is. You know, they are tossing out so much red meat over at the State House. I've decided we need to call it the damn slaughterhouse.
No doubt about that.
It's just, if you took a clown car, put it in a maze, set it on fire, it could not be more ridiculous than what is happening over at the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission, Josh.
No, it's been that way.
Anyway, Great week in politics.
For who?
For anybody.
Nobody living here. Hell, is this still Alabama politics?
They just may have a fix for 3 years worth of foul ups by the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission. Dr. Tim Nelson has filed a bill that came out of committee this week that offers a fix by removing the commission from the process, pretty much, right? The fund just keeps on giving from the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission. I mean, these guys, if I didn't know better, are smoking their own stash. The theme of this show, at least the first 2 segments, is the lying liars and the lying lies they tell. Okay, that's kind of the thing. To the fact that the women of Alabama Voters League, Women's Leagues. How do I say the League of Women's Voters?
There you go.
Boy, I'm getting my merge mixed up. Right?
Again, mind your own damn business, okay?
It's in the
Didn't
ether
someone on
somewhere.
TV once say it's not a lie if you really believe it? And so, I mean, it's
There you go.
I think the policy of the Republican Party at this point is. First, I'd like to go back and point out the oxymoron of great thinkers of conservatism.
And the incredible Josh Moon, columnist at APR and investigative reporter. Hey, Josh.
His head's gonna explode.
Man, my intros are getting better and better
I'm
every
telling
week. I appreciate you reading the script exactly the way I sent it to you.
Yeah, well, you are Andy Lou's father, so.
You're sitting there in position of authority. I mean, take a look around, man, and fix some. You know what I'm saying?
You definitely get beat.
You know.
I want to thank everybody for watching. Happy New Year, and may 2025 be a blessing and an opportunity for all. You've been watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.